what Set Bodies, What the Gym, and Jorga Bryer's Music Showcase, and Jason your Millennial, as we're talking about our top 5 songs for the 1950s. We're going all the way back to 1950s today. So I'm looking forward to that. How are you guys?
Pretty good. Thanks for having
good.
us.
I'm excited to do this. So I guess we might as well just get started then. So should we do honorable mentions first, or do them near the end?
We probably save them for the end.
Yeah. So we're going through our 5 to 1. We'll all go through our 5s and then go through our 4 until we got to our number 1, and then we'll talk about honorable mentions after that. Cool. So I guess I'll let you go first, Bryer, and then you, Jason, and then I'll go.
Bryer went dark or something.
Yeah, no, I just had to verify. I'm just verifying something real quick. Make sure I'm correct, because this I'll probably say this right now, but doing this was kind of tough. Doing this, oh hey Jacob, yeah, doing this list was kind of tough for some reason, because I was like trying to remember what songs came out in the 50s.
I reckon Jacob found it pretty easy. He does it easy.
Yeah, so I was like trying to come up with a list, and every time I came up with a song, I would look it up, and it would turn out it would come out in 1960, 61, or 60. So I'm like, God dang it! So I have to,
that happened a couple of times for me as well.
Yeah, that happened many times. Trying to come up, so I'm just verifying one particular song. That's my number 5. I really should have looked it up before we went live, but I didn't have the time. Okay, I'm good. I should be all right. So number 5, yeah, I got it. So there's going to be a trend with my top 5. Pretty much all of these are like in the rock and roll category, because that's usually where I typically go to. Yeah. So starting off with Buddy Holly, and it's the song "That'll Be the Day."
Yeah.
Just it's just a really nice. Again, it's not the most fast-paced song, you know, but it has a nice guitar intro with it, and again, it's pretty short, like a lot of these songs are, but it has this very memorable melody to it. And I really enjoyed his vocal delivery on here. Like, I could definitely see where a lot of people took inspiration from him. I know John Lennon was a huge fan of Buddy Holly. I know at one point growing up, he even wore his type of glasses. So you can see just the influence he had on a lot of young people who want to get into music. But yeah, a lot of these songs are very simple. There's not too much about them, but again, they're just very memorable, very catchy. And yes, I think it's a really nice song. So it's number 5.
Good. Yeah, I love Buddy Holly.
Got a fun fact about the song. Thought someone took from a line that John maybe we call the Searchers.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Someone kind of threatens to beat up John Wayne, and John Wayne goes, "That'll be the day." Like you're not going to take me on. Anyways, yeah, he saw that movie and made a song on it, which came out in 1956, I think. That movie came out, something like that. Yeah. So my turn, I'm guessing. Number 5, and I wanted to say, interestingly, I'm working on a series where I'm doing my top 50 favorite songs of each decade, starting with 50s, going to 2000s. So I've been working on my list each decade. So this is one of the decades I've been working on a list. So coming up with these, I've already kind of been pondering these for a while. So still, it's really hard. There's a lot of good songs, especially in the late 50s, I think.
Right.
That's when to me, 1955 is when rock and roll really starts repping up.
Yeah.
Right.
And then, all the really great rock, those, 50s rocks people really started coming alive around that time and providing us some of the great early rock songs before we get into the 60s, which even gets better. But number 5 for me is one of these original rock stars, and one of the greatest rock songs, in my opinion. I think one of the greatest rock riffs of all time, and that's Johnny B. Good by Chuck Berry. Also played by Marty McFly in the Back to the Future, where Chuck Berry stole his inspiration from Marty McFly.
And we got Mike here as well.
Hello.
Hey, Mike. So we know
Yeah.
through Back to the Future,
None of us were born then.
Yeah, none of us were born.
1955, I think it was.
My mom wasn't even
Anyways.
born yet.
Yes, we all know Marty McFly came up with this song, and Chuck Berry took it and ran with it and made a huge hit out of it. But that intro, I still think, is a great intro. Still, I can't believe it when I listen to it. I go, "Wow, this is 1950s." Like, this is like to me. To me, I think Chuck Berry's the best guitar player, or my favorite guitar player of the 50s era. I think he was before his time. Like, he was doing things I didn't hear other people do at that time period with the guitar. I'm like, wow, I don't know, he was ahead of his game when it came to guitar and rock and roll music. I mean, and yeah, this is such a fun song. I have to love it. Kind of this almost this biographical, song about this kid who comes from, I think Mississippi or something like that, comes from the poor area or something, I don't know, and then wants to be a rock and roll star, and then works his way to becoming a rock, so it's almost autobiographical kind of type of song, but just that "Go Johnny Go," oh, so good. I love the guitar on here.
Hey Chuck, it's me, your cousin.
It's your cousin Marvin Berry.
Very funny.
Classic.
Yeah. Oh, great.
My number 5 is also by Buddy Holly, and that's the song "Raining in My Heart."
In my heart. Okay, good.
Yeah, I think it's an excellent song. It's one of the first Buddy Holly songs I knew, but I think it sounds really great on this song. I love the orchestra as well. I'm a sucker for orchestration in songs. What can I say? I think it does some of its better lyrics here, and yeah, I think it's just a beautiful song. It's not one I've got a lot of things to really mention about, but yeah,
It's not one of the big hits, I would say, but yeah.
I don't even know if it was a hit for him.
Yeah.
I think it might have been a minor hit. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's one of the more minor songs, I would think, but yeah, interesting.
Should bring a picture. Really?
Oh, really?
Well, gotta make his money.
So I guess we're going to my number 4.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. All right. Next, my number 4. Okay. I'm going to go with Little Richard. I'm going to go with the song Tutti Frutti.
Tutti Frutti.
Got that womp bump balloon bump womp bump boop, bam, goes right into it. Gets that vocal line and then just goes right into it. It's just this, again, Little Richard, another one of those big pioneers to rock music. Again, really comes down to just his vocal style, just this very big, larger than life persona he has on stage, even back then. Just this big, powerful, again, his scream, like his wailing or whatever you want to call it. Not really screaming, but it's just, again, another really catchy song. Many people cover it over the years. I mean, he's one of those, like, whenever, especially in the 70s for some reason, like in the 70s, in most live albums, they usually have an old style rock and roll medley where they just cover a bunch of songs in a row. And Tutti Frutti is always one of the songs they always choose. So, again, you can see why. Again, it's another faster paced track, a really good danceable type of track you can dance to.
Yeah.
Just very entertaining, especially when you watch him play like videos of him. Like, he's just like this big presence. Of course, Freddie Mercury was inspired by him. Elton John was inspired by him.
I can see it.
Yeah, just a really terrific song. And I will say it's not the only Little Richard song I have on my list, so we'll get to that later. But yeah, that's my number 4.
Hello, John.
Hey, John.
Hello.
This resort's got two pretty big things.
Oh yeah. Also, it's a pretty risque song for the time. Pretty risque song.
I think it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a weird title, isn't it?
Yeah.
You hear it today, and you're like, Tutti Frutti, what the heck? All right, number 4 for me is another, I don't know, maybe it's more underrated song. It's another, I just love this rock song. It's a fun song. It's got a great kind of guitar riff in it, and it's called Summertime Blues by Eddie Cochran. It came out in the late 50s, and it's another song like you're saying, Bryer, that's been covered so many times. So Who Did It? I know they have like a live version of it, I think.
Yeah.
With Keith Moon singing it, I think, or something
I think
like that.
so, yeah.
I can't remember. But I love this original, and it's simple, but I just the guitar part just gets me. The bum 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 bum. I mean, that's it. Simple, but it works so well after each line. Da 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 da. I just love that guitar in there, and it's a really fun song. It's a rock song, and it's kind of a song about a teenager, and he's summertime. He doesn't have a job or something or a car, and he's trying to get all these things, and he can't, and and it's always some authority member with a low voice, you can't do this because of this, whatever, and so and then he's I can't something about the summertime blues, and it's just a fun rock song. It's what I love about the 50s, these really fun catchy rock songs like this one. Alan Jackson has a really good version of it. Yes, that's true. I have heard that version as well. Like I said, it's been covered many times, but I do love this original version by Eddie Cochran, who would die, I think, in a car wreck or something. And then I don't know if it was 1960 or just right at the beginning of the 60s. So we never got to see how good Eddie Cochran could have been. He had a couple hit records here in the late 50s, and then just like Buddy Holly and all these other ones, just life cut too short. But yeah, do love Summertime Blues.
I can't remember if I've heard that Eddie Cochran song. I think I missed that. I've heard one of his compilation albums, so I'm pretty sure it was on there.
Yeah, it's a big song for him.
Cool. Didn't know that.
Interesting.
It's one number 4. It's an artist that we've not spoken about yet. That's Elvis Presley with the song "Love Me Tender."
Love Me Tender.
Yeah,
It's one of my favorite Elvis Presley ballads. Yeah,
that's a good ballad.
There's not a lot going on musically in the song, but I still think it's excellent. I love the acoustic guitar playing and the backing vocals. But I think Elvis's vocals is my favorite part of this song. Yeah, I think it's one of my favorite ballads of the 1950s. So yeah, I had to make my top 5 for me.
Yeah, you gotta have Elvis somewhere.
Oh yeah, Elvis.
We're talking about the 50s.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, next up for me, number 3. So this is actually one Jason already talked about, and it's gonna be Chuck Berry, Johnny Be Good.
Be good, all right.
Yep, Scott. Yep, that's another one. I mean, Jason already hit the highlights of the song. I mean, the guitar intro, the vocals, of course, its inclusion in Back to the Future, and of course, one thing that we didn't mention yet about Chuck Berry is, of course, his stage presence of how he played the guitar. Like, he would go down, almost do the splits while he's still playing, and of course, the duck walk.
The duck walk.
Which of course Angus Young would steal in AC/DC.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's just another great person to kind of watch him kind of perform, especially in his heyday, where he just had so much energy and you just can't take your eyes off him. But yeah, like I don't have much else to add to it. But yeah, just another really great rock and roll hit from the 50s.
Just a trendsetter, probably. I don't think anybody did that kind of stuff, right? And then And then you get into the late 60s and you get Jimi Hendrix and Pete Townsend doing crazy stuff with the guitar, and I'm sure there's
Blackmore's another example.
Blackmore, okay,
yeah,
we're doing crazy stuff with the guitar on stage. Some would do backwards,
right?
Or, sit on the ground playing, or, all kinds of crazy stuff. Yeah, and I think it started with Chuck Berry.
You first listened to a 50s song. Oof, I can't remember.
Not specifically, but I know, a lot of 50 songs get played in movies a lot, so it's probably one movie I saw. I can't pinpoint one specific one.
That's a good question. Like, I remember watching Back to the Future, and they go back in the 50s and they play Mr. Sandman. I always remember really liking that song because
also commercials are probably another big one. lot of commercials play a lot of 50s songs.
Yeah. So I always remember Mr. Sandman is one of the first ones I think I remember when I was watching Back to the Future as a kid.
Mattress commercials, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there's probably a lot of them, like you said. Sure, yeah. All right, number 3 for me is a really, really fun, another really high, I don't know, fast-paced, really fun song again, and this is Yakety Yak by the Coasters, which more of a, you know, I don't know what you call them. I don't know if they're a doo-wop group or whatever at that time, Motown group at the time. This was definitely one of their huge hits, probably the biggest hit. I think it was number 1 at the time, if I remember. And it's a song, again, it's a song about 50s was the kind of the decade. It really, really got bigger in the 60s, but it really focused on teenagers. I mean, all these songs I'm talking about are a lot of these are teenager type songs to me, because teenagers were into rock and roll, because that was very
it was the big thing, like the big trend of that time. Of course, singles were very affordable, so a lot of teenagers were buying a bunch of singles.
And it was what's the word I'm trying to look for? It was looked down on by adults,
right?
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it was 50s. It's devil's music, you know.
Exactly, and people thought it was gonna fade out.
Yeah, like my grandparents, you know, thought 50s, 60s rock music was, you know, devil music, you know. And my parents think the 90s rock music I listened to was devil music, you know. And I think music kids listen to today is devil music. It's just kind of what happens when you get to a certain age. and rock and roll music was kind of the new thing that was, you know, what this rock, you know, what they're talking about, the sex and the, you know, and the drugs, you know. And I mean, they weren't talking that so much about 50s, but you know, that was kind of where it's going. And, you know, so it had this dangerous thing to it, rock and roll music. You know, you had these movies in schools where the bad kids were listening to rock and roll music, you know, in these movies and terrorizing the teachers and stuff. And so it was kind of this thing. Kids loved it, you know. Teenagers just loved it because you dance, you know, you go to parties and dance and all this, and it's fun. And it's teenagers, you just love going out and having fun, you know. So these 50s songs really just took off with the teenage crowd, you know. At this time, anyways, Yakety Yak is another one's about kind of being a teenager, I think, and it's about your parents, you know, telling you what to do, you know, go clean up your room, go do this. I always love the line of put out the dog and bring in the cat, you know. If you don't, you're not going to go out with your friends no more. Yakety Yak, don't talk back, you know, because as a kid, you know, if you say anything to your parents, you know, they say, don't talk back to me, you know. At least that's the way I grew up. I didn't talk back to my parents at all. I would get whooped big time, but I knew my place. But I don't know. So it's kind of a fun song from a teenager's perspective of being your parents, kind of giving all these rules to you and kind of get down on your fun time, you know, and all these, you know, chores you have to do and all this anyways. But it's such a fast-paced song, and it has a great sax solo in it. The sax is so great in this, and it kind of drives the song. But there's one point where it's just the sax goes in there, and this is a period where the guitar music was still kind of, I feel like, I want to say new, or it was starting to. Some rock music was still kind of driven by either piano, like Little Richard or Jerry Lee Lewis, or by saxophone or, you know, instruments, where it's really driving the rock music. I feel like guitars were starting to come in and starting to around this time with Chuck Berry and Billy Haley and the Comets and even maybe Elvis. The guitar is starting to drive the music more. But I do love some of these songs like this where the stuff like the saxophone is really driving the rock music, and it sounds great. It's another one. It's just so fun. I think of 50s as just really fun music.
I don't think I've heard that song before. I'll check it out right after this live stream.
You gotta hear it. It's so good.
Let's see what's going on in the chat.
Charlie Brown's a great song. I love Charlie Brown.
I think I've heard that one. Yeah, I've not seen the Elvis film, but I'm put off watching those Elvis movies.
Oh yeah,
I can.
I've never seen an
again,
Elvis movie. Have you guys seen an Elvis movie?
No,
I've
I've
got a
seen the
whole box.
video. I've watched a video where a guy reviewed every single of his movies, and yes, it you can tell as it goes on, his excitement goes
Oh, really?
down. Each one goes.
I bought a whole box set full of them.
You do?
I bought a whole box set, but
Wow.
I gave it up to about the fourth film. I just couldn't watch them anymore. I was going to do a live stream ranking all of them, but
Oh, that'd be
couldn't
cool.
do it. I gave
Uh,
it after Kissing Cousins.
Kissing Cousins, yeah, I've heard that.
Mm.
One.
Yeah, that I couldn't do it after that.
I mean, I've seen clips of Jailhouse Rock when I was very young.
Yes.
Because my grandma would watch a lot of old timey, like the channel that played a lot of the old movies, and they
Oh,
played
yeah.
Jailhouse Rock one time, and that was before I even was into Elvis. So yeah, so I was it's more like a background thing, but I remember seeing clips of it on the TV.
Well, there's like Girls, 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 Blue Hawaii. I think some of the big ones.
Yeah, Blue Hawaii.
Yeah, and you have a lot of his songs in there. I remember what's her name? Margaret something, I think. She was always really, really good looking. And Margaret, she was always really good in some of that stuff.
I didn't mind Jailhouse Rock. I've still not seen King Creole.
In Creole, yeah. How many did he do? He did a bunch, didn't he?
Yeah, tons.
There's-
Like every
there's
year,
also-
we came with a couple films in the 60s.
Roy Orbison also did one of those type of movies.
Really?
It was called the fastest guitar alive.
Okay.
It's just as bad as those Elvis films.
At least he did one.
Yeah, it was just a one-off.
So the Beatles, did they do a better job than Elvis, you think? Or
Oh yeah, totally.
okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. A lot of them did that. Bobby Darin did movies, right? And there's a bunch of those 50s teen idols that did like that was a big thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'll quickly go through my number 3 because one that you've all mentioned.
Oh wow,
we
we all
did.
three mentioned it.
Yeah. I was just gonna echo what you guys said about the song. Really, yeah, I think it's excellent. It's one that I think will always age quite well. It's always been played on the radio quite often. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's always stayed as a classic. Really.
Do you have anything by Chuck Berry? I don't. I think
Just
the only
got a
thing you can.
compilation album.
I think
No.
yeah, I'd love to get a compilation album. I'm sure there's a good one out there that would be worth.
Yeah,
a
there's
buy.
probably are. There's tons of them.
Because he had a lot of big songs, hit songs, I should say. Huh.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think that video
Really?
I watched mentioned that.
He talked out of it, but because he thought it would ruin his image. Really, I didn't know. That's interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting.
I should have invited Jacob on this live stream. Who had told us all these different facts.
Yeah, he knows a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So I guess we're on number 2.
Number 2. Okay, I mentioned I was gonna have another one by Little Richard on my list, and this is the other one. And it's gonna be Good Golly Miss Molly. And pretty much what I said before can apply to here. Again, it comes down to his vocals. Again, his wailing on here is amazing. It's just another kind of very upbeat, very danceable type of track you can really get into. And another song that gets covered quite a bit. I know Creedence Clearwater Revival did a cover of it on Bayou Country, which they do a really good. John Fogerty did a really good job on it.
Really good.
Yeah, really captured it. Just I don't really have much else to add to it, but it's just it's probably my favorite Little Richard song. It's the one I usually go back to the most. But yeah, terrific song.
Mm-hmm. That's a good one.
It's great.
Number two for me, I had to go with Buddy Holly on here. I love Buddy Holly. Big fan. And there's so many songs to go with here. I have this Buddy Holly collection. 50 has 50 Buddy Holly songs on it.
Nice.
Cool.
It's great. And like you said, there's great stuff like That'll Be a Day, Peggy Sue, Not Fade Away, True Love Ways. But my favorite actually is a song called Every Day by Buddy Holly, which is a more acoustic guitar song. It's not one of his more rockers. But it's a simple song. It's not very long, but it's got such a great melody to it and catchiness to it. I love singing along to it. And I think it's been covered. I've heard it covered by somebody else. But again, it's just kind of a love song, I guess. I just love the every day. It's a getting closer, going faster than a roller coaster. I don't know why. I just love that line. I love the way he sings it. And true love's my way. Hey, hey, hey. It's just very laid back, kind of more of a song, simple, but yet I don't know. It's just so catchy to me, and one that I listen to quite a lot from Buddy Holly. And there's even like this solo of like a bell solo thing. I don't know what you call it. Maybe it's a
chime. Is it a chime?
Chimes or something. That there.
Is it a glockenspiel? Maybe I'm not sure.
Yeah, something. I'm not sure what, but it's kind of cool effect in there. And yeah, I don't know. It's so many great Buddy Holly songs. That's the one I go for. Now my number one, my favorite Buddy Holly song. So
I think that might have been the first 50s song I ever heard.
Oh, really?
It's one of his more popular ones. It's his number one on Spotify.
Oh, really? Okay.
Which surprised me.
Yeah, me too.
It made the top 3 anyway on Spotify.
Because like I said, That'll Be Day and Peggy Sue, I always figure like there's maybe two most popular that I hear a lot, but
yeah, rock and roll was the best type of music in the 50s.
Oh yeah,
the best genre for that.
Yeah, I have to admit, I don't have a lot of female singers in the 50s, even though there was some probably good ones in the 50s. I kind of go more towards the rock and roll music, which is more male dominated. But
so I guess I'll go to my number 2, which is an artist we've not mentioned yet. That's Johnny Cash. Okay. I go with Folsom Prison Blues. My favorite Johnny Cash song.
I like that song. That's cool.
Yeah. I think it's excellent. Have you all seen the Walk the Line film?
Yes.
I have not.
Oh, that's a good film.
I
heard good things about it. I know Joaquin Phoenix plays Johnny Cash. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he does a really good job. Yeah, I think the song's brilliant. I love the guitar playing. I think in the movie the guitar solo looked like it was improvised. So I think there might have been improvised guitar solo that what someone did. But I love the lyrics as well about someone being stuck at Folsom Prison.
Yeah.
Hearing the train coming, rolling down the bend, wherever it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my
of course, you
2.
have that famous live album in Folsom Prison.
Yeah.
This one of my favorite live albums. That one.
Yeah. Yeah, I love I shot a man in Reno just to watch him die. Like that's such a great line. Like what a cold-hearted thing to say.
It's got quite a few great lines in that one. Quite a lot of memorable ones. I should say.
Yeah, it's kind of a depressing song about going to prison, but it's good. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So now we're up to number 1. Number one. All right. So I haven't mentioned this guy yet. I think Adam already mentioned him, but I gotta go with Elvis for my number 1. It's gonna be probably my favorite Elvis song still. It's gonna be, and I kind of mentioned it earlier, Jailhouse Rock.
Cool.
Yeah, it's just like I said, it's definitely my favorite Elvis song. Like it's a nice, good, catchy. Getting the vocal line on it's iconic. Elvis is like the little snarl he has on the vocals. It's funny we 2 songs in a row we mentioned a song about prison. Of course, Jailhouse Rock's a bit more lighthearted about it.
Lighthearted. It's not a bad day in prison. It seems like they're having fun, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of a definitely more glorified version of it. Yeah.
I don't think prison's that great, but
but still, it's a fun track, and it's even more fun. It's even more fun when you watch the video for it, especially which was also. I do remember seeing, like I said, I saw the movie, and I do distinctly remember seeing that iconic footage of Elvis performing it, and again, you get to see his moves, his presence there. Again,
that's the highlight of the movie.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
and of course he choreographed the routine himself, which is pretty cool. Again, it's just another great song from him, and yeah, it's probably the song I go back to the most for him. So yeah, it's my number one favorite song of the 50s.
Yeah, it's hard not to think of the scene, in the jail with the
Yeah.
old,
Yeah,
in the jackets I think they have on. Yeah,
the leather
so
jacket with the striped shirts.
the
And
striped shirts, yeah.
Then you have the backing dancers doing some
Backing
slapstick.
dancers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yeah, that's why I said Mr. Salmon's good.
My favorite biopic is the one about Buddy Holly.
Me too.
Yeah.
We did our top 10 favorite biopics, me and Jacob. That was our first collaboration together, actually, like probably over a year ago. And yeah, his number one was, I think, Walk the Line. My number one was the Buddy Holly story with Gary Busey.
Oh yes, it was his birthday tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's got the same birthday as my granddad.
Oh, nice.
Really?
Yeah. So.
All right.
Yeah.
My number one favorite song of the 1950s, if you believe it, is Jailhouse Rock by Elvis Presley.
Oh wow!
No,
there you go.
No way.
You joking?
Yeah, that's.
No.
That was my number one for sure.
Oh wow!
Yeah, there's so many good ones, but that one is such a great rock song. I mean, that is pinnacle rock music there. And what gets me on that song, and I feel like it's simple, but yet I love it, and that's why I love listening to this song. Is just that, like it's simple, but I love it. Like when they hit that, because I feel like that's before we got these really great rock riffs of the 60s. I mean, this is a long time ago. This is before we get the Jimi Hendrix and the Jimmy Pages of the world and the whatever else you want to throw in there. And so some of that simple, just to me, it was like, wow, that was good rock. That's good 50s rock sound to me. Yeah, and just I think it's Elvis's best vocal work. Yeah, I mean, as far as rock vocals, like you put the Hound Dog, I think is up there as one of my favorite rock vocals from Elvis. But when he comes in like, out of 10, I went to something, the party jumped on. I can't remember the lyrics. I'm trying to remember them. Go, let's rock. Jailhouse Rock. I don't know. He's just full force. Like he's really using all of his voice, like loud, like he's going really loud, really hard.
Yeah, it has a good grit to it.
Good grit to it. It's just, that's to me Elvis at his best, because he was generally a really good rock singer. And I feel like it's one of those things where it's like, when you think of Elvis, there's the, he was good looking, so the women went crazy because he was this good looking guy, and he had that hair. I mean, he had the right look, and he had the swiveling hips, and he had charisma, he had stage presence. And he had all these things, but yet I feel like it can't overpass I don't know, that's not the right word, but you can't forget that he also was a really good singer. And sometimes I forget that because I think about all the other stuff surrounding Elvis, because with the like I said, with the dance moves, and then Screaming Girls.
Then there's his personal life, which gets overshadowed sometimes. Yeah, and then you got the drugs and the Fat Elvis days, and the outfits, the crazy outfits he'd wear, and all this stuff. And so I forget. At least for me, sometimes I'm afraid to forget that he was popular because he was a really good singer, I think, and one of the best singers of that era for sure. And so when I listen to Elvis, I do listen and go, gosh, he was just a talented singer. And that's why he was a very special singer, I think, at that time period. And that's why
I'm not like the biggest Elvis fan, and that's because I'm a bigger Beatles fan, and I'm a bigger fan of the '60s, probably. But yeah, sometimes I listen to Elvis and I go, "Gosh, man, that guy could really sing," and
he's definitely up there.
and that's why he was king of rock and roll, I think. And to me, this is "Jealous Rock" is my favorite rock song of this period, and my favorite 50 song, favorite Elvis song, of course. And it's so many good stuff there. Hound Dog, I think, is great, and Can't Help Falling in Love with You is a great ballad, like where he really shows off his skills as singing a ballad, And unfortunately, he doesn't put out like this great record that you can really look at, because all his records have a lot of filler in them, and and had like one or two hit songs and like a bunch of filler. It feels like, but
pretty much, yeah, I'd say so. Like, and people always say his debut is probably his best album, from top to bottom, but. Yeah, everything else is more. They are based. His other albums do kind of fall into like they're just collection of songs.
Yes, yeah, they don't feel like a true album.
I think my favorite Elvis in Memphis came out in 1969. Or was it 68?
69.
I think 68, 66. I think it was 69 actually.
Okay. I say I like to get Elvis's 50. I think it's called like 50 like number ones or something or whatever.
Yeah, I have one.
I forget.
I've got it on CD.
Yeah.
No, that's not it.
Wait a minute. That's
it's in the
ELO.
now.
That's the ELO.
Because the Elvis used to be in that section, but it got shifted. But I do have it somewhere.
It's called like 50 or something like that. Like there's 50 songs on there, or I can't remember.
Elvis, Elvis 50 or something.
Elvis 50, I think. I need to get that at some point. Just.
It doesn't have 50, but it has 30. This one I have has 30 of his hits.
Oh, 30. Okay, that's the one I think. That's the one I would like to get. I just like to get a compilation of his stuff because I feel like I do need some Elvis in my collection. I agree. Me and Bryer totally agree.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm gonna slow things down. My number one. I'll go with "True Love Ways" by Buddy Holly.
I knew you loved that song. Okay.
Yeah, but unfortunately, it was released in 1960. But I'm still counting it though because it was recorded in 1958.
Yeah, before he died.
There you go.
He died in 59, so
I will count it. But it's in my top 20 songs. It's my favorite Buddy Holly song, and I love the vibe of the song. It's got a very jazzy sort of sound to it. And I love the saxophone in it as well, and the strings, and I think Buddy Holly does his best vocal performance here. Yes, one of my favorite songs.
Yeah, it's a great song. Great, more ballad type for Buddy Holly. It's towards the end of his career, I want to say. He died, of course, shortly after in 59. But
I might as well show my other mentions. I go with "Don't Be Cruel" and "Hound Dog" by Elvis Presley.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah. So, what about you? What are you guys' honorable mentions?
For me, I'll just throw out a couple. Of course, Jerry Lee Lewis, "Great Balls of Fire." Throw that in there. Another pretty iconic song. I know Elton John was inspired by Jerry quite a bit. Then of course, Bill Haley in the comments with "Rockin' Around the Clock," the one that pretty much spearheaded the rock movement. So just want to give that a little shout out. And then from then on, it's just a lot of the other songs that you all mentioned, those other Elvis tracks, the coasters. So, yes, not a huge list, but there's definitely some artists I really did want to put on here, but I didn't know any songs by heart. Like I wanted to get Ella Fitzgerald on here, but I just didn't know any songs by name. So I had to. So hopefully I'll want to check out her stuff at some point.
I didn't know is Aretha Franklin 50s or she's more 60s?
I think she's more 60s.
Yeah, she's definitely more associated with the 60s, I'd say.
Okay, because I didn't look her up for she has most of her best stuff. I think is the 60s. I know of.
Well, I'll check out his version.
And there's probably some Everly Brothers songs I would put in as well.
Oh, that's a good one.
Fats Domino.
That was a big hit. Fats Domino. What a great name.
Yeah.
Just missing out was "Rock Around the Clock." I really wanted to get that in there, but just barely missed out. Like I said, it was, to me, that 1955 when Rock Around the Clock by Billy and the Comets came out, that to me was like, that you might say that's not the first rock and roll song. You might say, oh, because rock and roll came from like
It's definitely one
blues.
Yeah.
It came from the blues period,
Mm-hmm.
Kind of came in. But to me, that's like the first song that I felt like,
Those are all great choices.
this is rock and roll music right here. It's a great song. It came out in it became a hit because it was in a movie called like
Right. That's true.
Something Jungle. I forget.
Yeah, something like that.
Chocolate Jungle or something like that. And it appeared like at the end, and it just went off and became like a huge hit, number one hit. But yeah, Jacob mentioned "Bye Bye Love," great Everly Brothers song, number one hit for them. "Wake Up Little Susie" is also a great Everly Brothers song. They're to me. I mean, without the Everly Brothers, you don't have Simon and Garfunkel, and even the Hollies started out as a duo in Everly Brothers style, and even the Byrds started out as a duo, really, with McGuinn and Clark, trying to do like an Everly Brothers style, until Beatles came around.
Yeah, Crosby kind of shoehorned himself in.
Crosby kind of forced himself into the group, and they made a trio, and then.
Were the Righteous Brothers in the 50s? Were they were more 60s?
Yeah.
They're 60s, I'd say.
I think they started in the 50s, but I think they had a song in the 50s.
Okay.
I can't remember what song specifically, though.
I'll drink if that's all right.
Also, I have to mention Sam Cooke. I love Sam.
Oh, yeah.
He's one of my favorite singers of the 50s period.
Mm-hmm.
You Send Me was a really great song. Yeah. Number one hit for him. And he had other ones like Chain Gang was really good. Another Saturday Night. Some of those might be in the 60s, though. I can't remember which one of the 50s and the 60s. But he started on the 50s anyways. And that's one of my favorite of his. There's a song called Sincerely by the McGuire Sisters, which I don't know if that's as well known, but it's a number one hit from the 50s. And I love that song. It's such a like slow down romantic song. Like if I was in the 50s, like I would be playing this song, with my girlfriend next to me, and it's that kind of song. Like you'd be sitting in your jungle. Yeah. Blackboard Jungle. That's it, Blackboard Jungle. I always feel like I think of myself sitting in like one of those 50s style cars with the radio on, with my hand over my girlfriend, that kind of stuff. It's such a great song. And then also I had a song called "A Teenager in Love" by Dion and the Belmonts. Again, just really hitting that teenage. Because I started listening to music, and when I was young, and I was listening to 50s and 60s music was kind of the first music I was listening to. So these teenager songs really spoke to me when I was young, and I was first listening to music. Because you're a teenager, you're always falling in love with some girl in class. You have crushes on all these girls, and so I don't know, I always love these type of songs. Why must I be a teenager in love? You're like, oh, woe is me. I'm this teenager. My heart's broken. And it's like, of course, now as an adult, you're like, shut up. You're just a kid. Your heart's not broken. But yeah, so I love these heartbreaking songs of the 50s, 60s era. But there are so many great songs, but that's some of them.
Yeah, but you didn't mention about Dean Martin or Hank Williams.
No.
Yeah. And Nat King Cole had some great stuff there.
Right.
With Mona Lisa and if I fall in love, it'll be I think that might have been that period. That's more the crooners, like Dean Martin. Frank Sinatra had some of those great crooner songs. I'm not into the crooners as much, but there's some good stuff there. I don't know. Dean Martin had the Amore. What's that? That's Amore. That was like his big hit, I think.
That's Amore. I think I know that one.
That might have been the 50s. Frank Sinatra, I'm not sure what he had, but I'm sure he had a lot of stuff.
Yeah, he had a big career.
He had a big career, yeah. Spanning decades and decades.
Unforgettable.
I'll check that out.
Another really good Nat King Cole song.
Yeah, I don't have any of Nat King Cole, but I have his daughter's a couple of her albums.
Okay.
Yeah, and she does I think there's a song called "Still Unforgettable," which she kind of does a duet with her. I think her dad was already passed away, but it's kind of like an old recording, and she's kind of singing along with it. So
that's great.
Nice
What's
stuff.
her name?
Natalie Cole.
Yeah, her album won Grammy Album of the Year, if I remember right.
Yeah, I think so.
Wow.
Yeah, it was big, but yeah.
I might as well go through my top 5 1950s artists. I'll just say them at the top of my head. So I'll go with number 1's Buddy Holly. 2, I'll go with Elvis Presley. 3, I'll go with Johnny Cash. 4, Chuck Berry. And 5, I'll go with Hank Williams.
Hank Williams, okay.
Mm.
And my number 6, I'll throw Little Richard in there for that one.
Mm.
Yeah, because I know if we were doing the artists too, because I did the artists as well.
But you might as well quickly go through them.
Well, number 5, I had Chuck Berry, like I said. Just great. Along with Johnny B. Good, Sweet Little 16 was another song I really like, and a bunch of other ones. Roll Over Beethoven, of course.
Right.
A lot of good stuff. I need to get more of his stuff. I put Elvis Presley number 4, which might be low on the list. Just there's so many good artists here though that I really like. Elvis, obviously, so many great hits. Number 3, I put the Everly Brothers just because I love that duo.
Harmonies, yeah.
I love the duo harmonies and just how groundbreaking they are all groundbreaking, I guess, and they are to me groundbreaking for a duo. Because I feel like every time I read a biography about somebody, they're like, I wanted to be like the Everly Brothers. So I'm like, wow, like everybody wanted to be like them. Number 2, I put Sam Cooke. I've got a compilation album of his. It's really good. But like I said, You Send Me, Chain Gang, Cupid is my favorite song of his. Another Saturday Night's great. But yeah, he has a lot of great hits. Number 1's Buddy Holly. Like I said, love Buddy Holly. I mean, he was only around for a couple years, really, I think. I don't know, 57 to 59 maybe? I don't know, he died in 59.
I think it might have just been just under 2 years.
Under 2 years, and yet he had so many hits. I mean, I don't know if anybody put that many hits together in only like 2 years, span of 2 years. And he's only in his 20s? I don't know.
Yeah,
he was
22, 21.
Yeah, crazy.
22.
And I've been there where he died in Iowa, Crystal something, Iowa, where they took off from the place they played their last concert, and it didn't get very far. You can go see where it crashed, where the plane crashed in a field not far from the venue. Anyways, and it's a really cool place to go visit. It's like rock and roll history there, and you see a lot of cool stuff there. Anyways, but yeah, Buddy Holly. I mean, what a lightning, just came here so quick, did so much, and then he was gone. But
true candle in the wind.
His stuff. What's that?
A true candle in the wind, shall we say?
True candle in the wind. Yeah,
definitely.
But love his early rock stuff, and like you said, even True Love Ways and all this more ballad stuff was great. And man, what could we got? I always think like if he was around the 60s, man, how much good music we would have gotten from Buddy Holly. One of those things we'll never know. But.
I mean, yeah, I didn't really rank mine. I kind of just listed them, but it's basically all the ones you already mentioned: Elvis, Buddy Holly, Chuck Berry, Little Richard, Everly Brothers. To kind of add to it a little bit more, I would put Ray Charles. I know Ray Charles was pretty big then.
That was big, yeah.
Yeah. And of course, and I also mentioned Ella Fitzgerald earlier. Just want to get more because I know she was pretty big during that time. Sam Cooke was mentioned already, but yeah, definitely want to mention him. But yeah, there's definitely a lot more. But again, the 50s is definitely a genre I have not dived too deep into yet. But who knows? Maybe one day I'll do a deep dive and see what I missed.
Yeah, it's hard because there's not these albums that people talk about from the 50s, that you can go to and be like, oh, this was like the quintessential 50s album. I don't know, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
It's hard, because you go and you try to, because if you want to listen to their discography, you're just like, I don't know, it's not as interesting listening to the
Yeah.
album.
Yeah. The best you can do is a compilation, greatest hits compilation.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was great to talk about the 1950s.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
Still a great period, I think, to talk about.
Definitely a very big year for music. Like definitely
Yeah.
game changer, especially when it goes to the 60s.
Yeah.
So I guess I might as well conclude the live stream now. Do you guys have any final farewell words?
Don't go to prison.
Yeah. Don't go to prison.
Definitely.
It's not fun.
Yeah. Don't let Elvis influence you. Like, don't go to prison. Follow what Johnny Cash talked about.
So yeah, thanks for watching, everyone. Until next time, I appreciate you think this live stream alike. Peace out and ciao. Goodbye.